I'm Cindy Novak, Downsize Administrator with the Carolyn Stark Real Estate Team. Thank you so much for joining us for our Home Edition event. Today we've got a great program for you. We've got Anna Brayton and Dr. Buss from Chiropractic Advantage, and their program is Living Well for Life. They've got some really good practical insight and practical advice for all of us to live well as we age. Now here's Anna.
Hello guys and welcome. I'm sorry we couldn't be together in person, but maybe next year. And this is a great way to still get information right from the comfort of your own home. So like I said, my name's Anna and I'm with the Chiropractic Advantage. A little background about me is that I grew up in Kaukauna, joined the military when I was 17, went to UW La Crosse, studied political science and nutrition, and now I'm married, got 2 little kiddos at home, and I love just spreading anything I can to help people live a better life, whether nutritionally or mechanically, and because it all comes together with our quality of life. So I'm going to talk to you about living well for life. And if we're living well for life, it's how to stay young even if we're feeling old. So, or you might say, I'm not feeling old, I just know I'm old. So we are here to give you some tools and skills to help you live well for life and how to stay young through that. So one of the things that people don't realize is that we actually have a higher percentage and chance of living to an older age. There's actually some statistics out there that I'm going to share with you. So we have to ask ourselves, is living to the age of 100 possible for me? So let's look into that. We know that the average lifespan is 49 years old in the 1900s, that it was that. But today the average lifespan is 82, thanks to advancements in medical technology and so on. So we know that people are already living older than 100 plus years ago. So what is it projected to be in the future? Now, there is one study from the United Nations Department of Social and Economic Affairs in a 2015 report, and they estimated that in 2050, that's hard to believe, 2050. I don't know about you, but I hear lately that a car was a 2005 car, and I'm like, oh, that was just yesterday. So in 2050, that there will be more than 3.6 million people who live to over 100, and some of those could be creeping up on the 150 years old. I don't know about you, but I want the idea of living older, but 150, that seems like, what does somebody give you for your 149th birthday? I don't know. So maybe I'll live to see. But what does that mean? That means that you could live so long that your kids may be retired before they even get your inheritance. So that's just mind-blowing thinking about that sort of thing. So, okay, we might not be living to 150, you and me, but what if we are living to older, past the 82 years old? So we need to know the secret to living well for life because we don't know how long we're going to live, so we want to live that quality of life. We don't want to merely be on this planet to just exist. We want to be able to live and work and play, and we want a quality life, right? And picture what that is for you. Is that playing with your grandkids? Is that still hiking? Is it still doing cycling and swimming? Is that still being able to volunteer for your favorite cause? What does that mean to you? Because we have one body, and that body has to last us the rest of our life. We can change homes, and I know a great real estate agent that can help you do that, but we can't change bodies. So what are we going to do for that? Well, we want to realize what long life has revealed. That is going to be one thing that's going to help us say, okay, what do we know, and so what can we do to prevent or help promote good health the rest of our life? Well, we see the onslaught of baby boomers getting older, and that's revealed some flaws in our health care that we didn't realize. Not enough people, before people lived longer, we didn't realize these things, but now we see it. So we know that mental diseases such as dementia and Alzheimer's are on the rise, right? Because we see more people living past the age of 80 to see when it really starts to arise. We've also seen that cosmetic changes occur, right? The wrinkles, the cosmetic surgeries. Men don't care as much. I mean, men, they wash their whole body with what they wash with their face, but women, you look at their beauty counter and it's quite the plethora because we want to reverse aging. We want to not look as old as we might feel or our age might reveal to us. But we've also realized that our structural systems take a hit. And if you haven't thought about this, think about, when you picture somebody that you know that's older, a lot of times this is what they end up doing, kind of instead of standing upright, we get smaller and our structural systems take a hit where we need walking assistance and so on. So what is our biggest problem as we age? We realize that the increased lifespan means an increase in musculoskeletal problems. So movement is getting more of a challenge. And you might not be necessarily closer to your 80s, you might be in your 40s and 50s, but all you have to think about is when you're driving, do you want to turn your neck as quick as you used to? When you're putting the groceries away, do you kind of think about some area that you need to compensate for? That's because it's a musculoskeletal concern, whether it's tight muscles, sore ligaments, arthritis in some joints that has accumulated over the years. So we're neglecting our bodies. If we neglect our bodies now, we will pay for it later. So for me personally, I was in the military. So I had 7 years where I was carrying rucksacks. I was training for air assault school. I was really putting a lot of impact on my body. And my knees really took a lot of the brunt. So now I'm 33 years old. You got my age. I'm paying for it now, what I did, in the first 25 years of my life. And so that's why I take it very seriously, because I still have, Lord willing, a lot of life left. So let's take a look at what happens when we neglect our musculoskeletal system. We know that the most common cause of functional disability, again, now functional disability, we're not talking about other health disabilities, but functional disabilities in persons over 50 years old is your spine. So if you're going to live past the age of 50, the most common thing that happens is spinal disorders that lead to a functional disability. So if I could tell you that somebody was going to rob your house, at what time, and who they are and what they're going to do, would you do something to prevent it? Yeah, I mean, if you've watched Home Alone, we've learned a lot from Macaulay Culkin, But it's kind of that idea. If you knew somebody's going to come rob your house, you'd call the police. You'd probably get out of there. You would do something. Well, that's the same. If we lose our mobility at 65 and say we live to 85, 95, 105, that is 20, 30, 40 years of living in immobility and pain. So if we know that that is most likely going to happen, what can we do now and today to prevent that? But I want to make a note that it's not just limited to back pain. Lower back pain, that sort of thing brings people in a lot. But we see a lot of people come in with neck pain, shoulder pain, basically immobilizing pain that they say, I was getting away with this for a little while, but you know what? I want to be able to pick up my grandkid, and that's impacting my life. So we know that we've seen the key to help with any sort of pain that people are experiencing is preventative chiropractic care. A lot of times people come in when they're already in pain, but we really like to say, that ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. The ounce versus the pound, we can really do a lot when we can get people in before they're already experiencing that pain. So let's talk about the natural health span curve. And this is taken from lots of studies and even observationally, I think a lot of people can relate to it. So in the bottom section of the graph there, that's age range. So we have 0 years old to 120 years old. So that's on the bottom. And then this is your X and Y axis, if you remember from, math class. And then on the Y axis, we have 0 to 100% mobility. Now, if you've been around a newborn recently, you know that their mobility is very limited. I mean, they might be able to roll, but they're not going anywhere without mama or daddy, right? And then it increases. I have a 20-month-old, and even though she scoots around a lot, she's still a little awkward in her walking. But we know that by the time we are in our mid-20s, if it's natural, there's been no car accidents, or like in my case, military, there hasn't been, something to really offset it. We know that we have max mobility at 25. And again, going back to the military, you had the highest physical fitness standard on your PT test at that mid-20s range, because they know that's when your muscles are optimally developed. But after that, the natural curve starts to go down. And as you can see already by the age of 50, mobility on average is just under 75%. And as we get to 60, it's just creeping down to 50%. What does that mean? It means at 60, you're doing about 50% of the ranges that you used to do compared to when you were at that peak mobility of 25. So, and a lot of people can say, yeah, I can attest to that. I really moved around a lot better 5 years ago, and each year it naturally digresses. So, can we do something about that? That's if we let health take its curve. And at the end, I have a video that talks about, is it too late for me? We have a lot of people that come in their 50s, 60s, 70s. We have 90-year-old patients and then some. So it's never too late. We can't always reverse damage necessarily, but we can stop it from getting worse. And the sooner that you come in, the more likely we can to really reverse some things or keep it from getting worse. So we know that the goal of preventative care is to keep people, and that green line is when chiropractic care comes in. From all the studies that we see, when people see a chiropractor and do that preventative and maintenance and wellness care, we are able to keep their mobility right up in the 75% into our 100s. So that's why we tell people it's not too late. We can stop that progression from going downwards. So how does chiropractic work? And I'm going to go into that because a lot of people have heard of chiropractor. And I grew up going to a chiropractor my whole life, but I didn't know what they did. I just knew how it felt. So I'm going to give a little biology lesson. Bear with me. If you're sleeping, wake up. And if you want, actually, this is a great reminder to get up and stand up and move. Because there's a saying now in lots of articles on sitting is the new smoking. So I do encourage you to get up, move around, move those joints. And as I show, you can kind of trace, because we have 4 natural curves in the spine. If you look at that left picture that I'm showing you, we've got the cervical curve, we've got the thoracic curve, we got the lumbar curve. If you've heard of a lumbar support, or a seat with that, that's because it's a lumbar curvature part, and then the sacral, that goes down to the tailbone. So it's kind of this natural wave. So you don't necessarily want a straight spine. You actually want a naturally curved spine. That middle picture is a bird's eye view of that spine. So that the yellow part is the actual vertebrae bone. But what comes out of that, and we want to pay attention to, because people call chiropractors bone crackers, but actually we're really nerve protectors, because that bluish orange part coming out of that on the left and the right, that's your nerve. And your bone structure is supposed to be in ideal shape to allow the nerve to go through, right? So what does that mean? So kind of zooming out again, the picture on the bottom right, that is, again, your spine, but each nerve talks to an organ or cells in our body. So we have the nerves up here in this upper part of the spine, the C1, they talk to your eyes and they communicate to your eyes. We have, in that thoracic, we have that talks to the heart. One of the neatest things I've seen, and actually I had a foster daughter at one point who really had trouble not wetting the bed. We actually took her into the chiropractor, and her lower lumbar part, T11 and T12, I believe it is, that was misaligned. Getting that adjusted allowed for the nerves to properly talk with the kidneys and the bladder system, and helped her have better bladder control. So there's a lot of neat things that chiropractic care can help with because we remove the nerve interference. Now, I'm not saying chiropractic care helps with everything. If it's nerve interference, and muscle and skeletal related, we can usually help and see improvement. But sometimes people's headaches are caused from magnesium deficiency, or sometimes they're eating something in their diet, or they're exposed to toxins that affect that. So it can't always, so we've got to know what the root cause of it is, but if we can at least make sure that nerve interference isn't the problem, we can rule out a lot of concerns. So this kind of is just another example of how our body communicates. Have you ever been talking to somebody and the reception is bad? It's so frustrating, right? Cutting in and out. drop call, and you hang up. Well, that's what it's like when there's that nerve interference. It can't get the message. So if you're familiar with technology and 4G, LTE, chiropractic care, I say, is like getting 4G LTE communication to all of your body versus that, analog phone system, the 3G, the no bar signals. So that's what we like to do. We like to keep the body talking. So chiropractic care and adjustments, how it works, it removes those misalignments of the bone so that the nerve can talk. That really allows for optimal healing, health, function, and peak performance. So coming from a sports view, if I like to play soccer, like I said, I've been active, physical fitness is important to me, and sometimes, my hips are out, that causes pain, I can't play as well. So we see anywhere from sports and athletes to people who are like, I just want to not hurt when I get out of bed. So how does the body work? Well, it communicates to the rest of the body to heal itself. So if you've ever wondered if you get a cut and how the cut knows to heal and stop bleeding, it's because nerves are communicating, hey, we need to send in some cells here to clot that, to stop it. It all comes because the body is trying to communicate through nerves. But what happens is our activities cause misalignments and nerve interference. So it can be anywhere from falling, or it could be just from sleeping funny. It could be from, always working like this and that repetitive motion. Say, my husband's a carpenter and he's, constantly doing that sort of stuff. It has wear and tear on the body. Just like your vehicle, you realign the tires, right? Because you don't want to have too much constant wear and tear that hurts the vehicle. We know this. That's just like our body. It's chiropractic care is kind of like getting a realignment to make sure that there's smooth motion of the vertebrae. So the real problem is that people leave conditions untreated their whole life. A lot of times what we hear people say is, it's the I dropped down to pick the pencil up sort of pain, where all of a sudden one day I went to pick the pencil up and I threw my back out. Well, we would argue that most likely there was signs and symptoms along the way that we just learned to ignore. Our body adapts, it gets used to it, and then one day we throw our back out. But it's been an accumulation of years and repetitive motions, or a bad car accident that can all of a sudden create that. But typically it's a lot of time coming. And I can attest to that. I've had an ongoing knee issue for 8-9 years now, and one day I was walking and it felt like my meniscus just tore. Thankfully, I've been able to heal it pretty rapidly, but I knew it wasn't just that walking. I knew it was a culmination of years of having, kind of an ongoing knee concern. So that's what we like to offer help with, a foundation of wellness by removing misalignments and interference. And what we like to do is keep our bodies in the condition to enjoy natural wellness and mobility. What I love is, what I find the side effects of chiropractic care is that my immune system is boosted, I sleep better, I have more energy, my body's better able to fight off allergies. Like, that is the side effect of chiropractic care. And so that's what we like to do, a very non-invasive approach to holistic care. So a lifetime of chiropractic care is where we change the mobility scale, and I can attest to that. I've been seeing a chiropractor since I was a little girl, and up now, and for the most, I have great mobility through 2 pregnancies, and so on, and we see that. So that's what we like people to know, is that it's best to start early, because if we can keep people from pain, we avoid a lot of concerns down the road. So if you've ever heard, I knew it, there you go, chiropractors always want me coming back, the answer is yes, but it might not be in the sense that you think. Because does it make sense that you could have your nerve interference removed once and you're good the rest of your life? We just do not see that in the laws of life, right? You cleaned your car once when you first got it. You shouldn't need to clean it again. No, because life happens. It gets dirty. We might go mudding, or it's Wisconsin, so the salt gets on it, right? So we have to wash our car again. Hopefully we're washing our bodies more than once, in our lifetime, right? Because we get dirty, smelly, and that sort of thing. And we don't just clean our house once. Trust me, I clean it probably 5 times a day with little kids. So nothing in life works like that. You work out, you get in really good shape, and then you don't go to the gym for 6 months, you're gonna get out of shape, right? So all forms of health require maintenance. And think about it. You go to your eye doctor, well, about once a year. You go to your dentist maybe 1 to 3 times a year, depending upon your dentist. There's that maintenance, and that is how chiropractic care is as well. If you don't maintain your body and skeletal health, life will take a much higher toll. Now, this is where I will say we try to educate to the best of our ability to people to move, to exercise, to walk, to stretch, yoga, Pilates. There's a lot of great things that you can do. We talk about sleep hygiene. We talk about good pillows, good mattresses, good shoe support. You know, we talk about those things because all those things help. Just like you clean your teeth every day, well, hopefully, you know, and you're brushing and flossing every day because your dentist says that's going to help in between visits. So there's things that you can do to help in between visits, but chiropractic care comes in to really help adjust the body when we've had setbacks in life, from life happening, you know, and that sort of thing. So yes, we do want you coming back, but we want you coming back in a maintenance, in a wellness plan, just like you most likely go to your eye doctor and dentist in a maintenance and wellness plan. So we're going to talk a little bit about chiropractic care and preventing falls. I love this picture because the saying, growing old is inevitable, growing up is completely optional. And I work with youth a lot, and a lot of times I can't even tell who the leader is because I'm right there with them, being young at heart. So we will grow old. So how do we maintain that spirit of youth within us? So I'm going to talk about a few tools and things to think about because we know that falls can be devastating to somebody's health. The statistics aren't good if somebody falls. So we're going to do the best we can to help prevent you. So what are some things outside of chiropractic care that we like to bring up, especially in a presentation like this? Well, first of all, your surroundings that that you live in every day is what we really want to focus on. Now, I understand the picture on the top left is probably not your house. You are not, a 15-year-old teen girl refusing to clean her room. So we still want to focus on that though and look how can we improve our surroundings and what tools can we use to help us prevent some falls. Well, one of the things that I really like is, if you've seen these, my husband and I, we got these from Home Depot. They're wireless remote systems. It's really neat because what you do, it's a plug-in that you would plug, you plug into your outlet, and then you plug your lamp into that outlet. And then what you do is it's a wireless remote system. So I can turn the lamp on by just pressing the button. Where does this become important? Well, the middle of the night, it's actually not good to sleep with lights on because that hurts our melatonin production, which is very important for our health. But if you get up in the middle of the night, you don't want to trip and fall, right? So if you can lean over and you can, hit a light button, that can help so that you can then get up and move in a safe manner. Or, instead of sometimes having to reach for things. So that is one tool that I really like. Or, you can get night lights, obviously, but that's one that I do like, and it's a tool to look into that could help solve some issues that might be putting people at risk. Another thing is making sure that you have proper stooling, that you're not reaching and losing balance. So making sure that you have sure-footed if you're reaching for stuff. And then of course there's the nifty nabber trigger thingy. That's literally the name. But the point is that you are finding tools to adapt to help your mobility and supplement those sort of things. So thinking about that sort of stuff, and there might be one thing that comes to mind. Yeah, I've been noticing I don't feel as good doing this as I used to. You know what, I'm going to have my daughter or brother or, we need to go and look for something to help us now. This is a little, if we were in person, I would interact. And so I'm going to give you a minute to look at that picture of that room and say what could possibly be hazardous that could lead to a fall. So I'll give you a second to look at it. Actually, I'll grab a drink of water. So I like to look at things like the stools, the chairs. So most often people see the chairs and the stools, right? What I really don't like about those stools is they're very thin. There's a lot of catch points. So we're going to want to look for something more sturdy, and kind of square. So first of all, that we know where they are, because we don't want to catch our foot on something. Second of all, it's really cluttered space, right? We see a lot of chairs. We see some things, hanging off that we would want to clean that space up. The other thing is looking at the rug. That could potentially be a trip hazard if you have muscle weakness and have a hard time lifting the foot up high enough. We'd probably want to remove that. There's a low hanging lamp that you might have to worry about and cause you to trip up. And another thing you might want to think about is the lighting. That room is fairly dark. So the darker the walls, the less our eyesight, the more our eyesight goes, we need to make sure we have proper lighting. So that's one thing that I like to look at. We talk about customized footing. We actually have custom orthotics at our office, but there's a lot of great places to say, oh, my feet are in pain, and that's causing me to have not as much mobility. So you really want to, if you are having that, you can talk to us, or there's some great resources online for looking at good footwear, looking at good clothing. You want to look for adaptive, comfortable, freely moving clothing that isn't going to restrict your movement. So those are some things that you really want to think about when it comes to your mobility as you age. But mobility is key as we age. So mobility makes it easier to react and recover from slips, trips, or falls. So when we are better aligned, we're going to have better balance. We just know that. There's less aches and pains. Less aches and pains means, when your arm is in pain, you're not going to do something as correctly, which is going to jeopardize, the movement even more. So chiropractic care can help take those aches and pains away. We allow better nerve function, which allows for proper sensory and motor function. So it helps people react and be more aware quicker so that you could recover. If you're about to trip, you can catch yourself because you have better reaction time. We see a lot of people with vertigo and dizziness, and we can help out a lot of those cases by adjusting, especially the neck, and making sure everything's aligned. When people do fall, because a lot of times it's not if, it's when, and it doesn't mean you have to be 70 or 80 to fall. I mean, I have little kids that I trip over every day. But no matter what age you're at, when you fall, that can lead to misalignment. We see a lot of misalignment in the C1 or Atlas that we can look at, and that can cause a lot of issues going forward. And then we also see, our hips get out of alignment, which causes additional issues. We know that say we fall and a joint now can't move, we see the statistics in the studies that show that that's where arthritis can really kick in. We want to prevent arthritis by keeping the joint movable. So that's one of the things that our chiropractors help with, is making sure every joint is movable. A lot of people don't know this, but we don't just adjust the spine or the back, we can adjust elbows and wrists and knees, and I tell docs, I say, give me the Cadillac treatment, and they adjust almost every joint. So that's really important because a lot of people have that carpal tunnel pain, so that repetitive motion in the wrist, we want to make sure that keeps going, and our doctors are actually specialized and certified with the extremities. So what are some stretches and exercises that we can do? We actually have a lot that we recommend in the office, but really there's nothing can replace getting involved in a community, going to a Tai Chi class, taking YMCA classes, and really finding ways to stay moving and mobile in those things. From pulling the knee up to your chest, you can do this while you're sitting or lying down, or if balance is a concern, make sure that you're by a table or a chair and try to do it while balancing, but make sure that you have access to catch yourself. Again, we don't want to, perpetuate a fall. But really, if you think about what you do every day, if you're hunched over, that sort of thing, we want to do what we can to reverse that. So if you're sitting a lot, then as often as you can, we want to see you stretch and do some lunges to really stretch these hip flexor muscles. We like to call this the Clay Matthews. It's the Wisconsin version of the Brugger posture break, and we really like to just stretch out our pectoral muscles and back because so much of the day we're hunched over. So throughout the day, every time you go through a door frame, you might want to stretch out your arms in the door frame to help reverse the curvature of the spine. Now we're actually going to take some time and invite Dr. Buss up, who's one of the owners and doctors at the Chiropractic Advantage. He's going to go over some ways that he personally has worked with seniors and how that chiropractic can help. So come on up, Dr. Buss.
How are you doing?
Oh, we're doing good. We're hoping that everybody's still awake, that they're not taking their nap time.
I'm sure they are.
Yes. So what are some ways that you've seen chiropractic care help with pain relief, how it's been a natural treatment? What's sort of the things that you see?
Probably the biggest things we see, honestly, is not necessarily pain. A lot of people come in for aches and pains because that's what chiropractic is known for, and it's pretty easy to get most of it to go away. But it's mobility. I think mobility is probably the biggest thing we see. Every single person, all of us, get tighter over time. Our muscles tighten up, our joints, our ligaments, tendons, everything tightens up just from life, wear and tear, years of work or sitting or anything. And if we don't do anything to address that tightness, it's going to lead to other issues and other, whether it's aches and pains or imbalances and things that just will affect us later on in life. You look at everybody through life and their different age groups, and you can see that happening as everyone ages. We all tighten up over time. So there's a lot of things we can do, and as a chiropractor, we want to make sure the joints are moving well, and then teaching you how to do stretches and things along those lines.
So a lot of people, you're known as a bone cracker. And when you tell the kids, you'll get the popcorn out because you hear that pop. But you guys are so much more than that. And there's different techniques like active, so you can talk about some of the things that you help loosen up those ligaments and not just crack your back.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, we have different massage guns that are awesome. People love them. Different modalities like electric stim, ultrasound, the roller beds or the roller tables. Sometimes we have to peel people off of them because they don't want to leave. What else? Yeah, I mean, there's different things we can do with our hands to help loosen up the muscles and tendons and ligaments.
I know if I'm working out a little more, sometimes it's real. You guys do just different to make sure that there's every part of my joint is being able to move.
Yep.
So just different techniques like that. So what are some things that you've seen when after people fall or, a traumatic, car accident or fall, or what are some things that you see that are common concerns, and what happens when you see people right away, and what happens if people come in later and it's a more delayed coming?
Well, that's a good question. Everything heals no matter what, but there's a big difference healing the right way and the wrong way. So whether it's a minor, just small sprain, strain, you just kind of fell against the wall and sprained your wrist a little bit, or a bad car accident, all of those injuries will heal, and that's why if you let a bone heal when it's displaced, it's going to heal kind of crooked, and it's important to straighten that out and let it heal the right way. But the same goes with our joints and ligaments as well. So any injury, even a small injury, is the way it heals is with scar tissue. So might be a little bit of scar tissue, it might be a lot of scar tissue, but scar tissue is like glue, it sticks to everything, and that's where the biggest hindrances come from. So it can kind of lock up your joints, or might not hurt now, but after years of that scar tissue pulling on things underneath that, again, you can't really feel or tell, it leads to a tendonitis or a different issue. So we just encourage people, after any trauma, even a minor one, just to get checked right away, because healing the right way is always better than trying to figure it out later on.
Yeah, and we see that from little on with, kids falling off the swing, then all of a sudden they lose bladder control, and that's a very obvious sign, but we see that it's not just seniors, but it is that throughout life.
Yep.
Can you speak to helping with chronic conditions and how that indirectly helps seniors age well? What are some of the things that you see as far as things that people don't necessarily come in to a chiropractor to see, but they notice, oh wow, it helped me with that, so that's helping my mobility. Are there any specifics that you can think of?
Well, I mean, there's so many different examples that we have, and when it comes to chiropractic, there's a lot of, like, you have your perception, and there's some weird stuff out there. But we've been practicing, or I've been practicing for 10 years, and I've seen so many weird things that we're kind of numb to it. But one that you'll see on the testimony that Anna, I think, gave with us, but she just came in for pain down her arm. So kind of a typical thing that we would see, somebody coming in, never been to a chiropractor before. She's in her 70s, I believe. And so kind of just focusing on her neck and her shoulder and arm and trying to fix that and take care of that. And after her second adjustment, she came in and this all felt amazing. But what she noticed was when she takes her hearing aids out, she can hear. So there's a lot of different things that factor into that, whether it's nerves or maybe she had a lot of fluid in her ears that finally drained. It can be a number of things, but something that she noticed was that she could hear better, we were focusing on the neck and her arm pain. So, I mean, there's a lot of things people will come in for. It's another good example.
Well, and we see that a lot too with babies, and infants, where they're just colicky, because really we find that's their way to say, I'm in pain. And after they see you, they might poop, finally.
Yep.
They sleep, their ear infections go down, so.
Yeah, just a lot of different changes. Essentially, we just want your body to function better. So that's the standpoint that we take. Whether you come in with aches or pains or not, we just want you to feel good and function better.
So you guys have a close relationship with the neurospine, the neurosciences. When do you refer out? When is it like, okay, chiropractic care is great, but this is our limitations? What do you kind of gauge with that?
Yeah, if somebody's just not getting better, or if somebody comes in and it's something that we find it to be more serious than what we want to try to work with, we refer. Very close relationship with a lot of doctors in the area, not just the neurospine and neuroscience. All the hospitals we're connected with, so we can pull everybody's files up, and then we just work. We think people's health and wellness is better when we all work together. So it's a good system.
Yeah, so I have some stats up here now about chiropractic care in nursing homes, but one of the things that I want to point out is there's a 3-year follow-up, and less than 5% of those who use chiropractic care lived in a nursing home, while staggering 48% of those who did not use chiropractic care were in a nursing home. So can you speak to that? We have 90-year-olds who come in and you would never know they're 90s. And then we have 20-year-olds who come in who look and feel 40, 50, or 90 years old. Can you kind of speak to that difference of, wellness care and what the different lifestyle choices are that leads to that 90-year-old feeling amazing?
Yeah, age is just a number, so it's not necessarily how old you are, it's how good you feel and how well you're enjoying life. The tricky part is a lot of, again, life kicks our butt every day, so we need to do things to offset that and take care of our bodies. If we don't, just look at a car that you drive without getting the wheels changed or rotated or oil changed. It's going to break down if we don't do anything. Same thing with our bodies. We will break down. It just depends on how well we do taking care of that.
And can you speak to that study about, the ER visits or, and those sort of things that you see with people who go to chiropractors?
Yeah, so I don't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head, but there's a study. It was like 16 million people, so it's a pretty big study. But they found that people who are more proactive with their health, whether they're exercising and trying to eat healthy and then using chiropractic care as a preventive measure rather than a reactive. They're trying to keep their body out of pain rather than waiting until they're in pain and then going. When we see that care more often, just preventing more than anything, we are being proactive more than anything. It's a significant decrease in hospital visits, 80% less hospital visits. 60% less hospital visits, and it's 80% less medication use. They're pretty big numbers, but it's kind of just cool to see how that can affect your health, not only now but later on in life too.
Because a lot of doctors, even in the area, are coming out with evidence saying the more medications, the more likely you are to fall, lose bladder control, which leads to more falls. So our goal really is helping people stay off medication because it has so many other negative impacts. Can you just, in your ways, kind of describing care? So people come in, they're in a ton of pain. What kind of care plan do you put them in? Do you put everybody on the same care plan? Can you kind of explain what people can expect if they're going to come to a chiropractor, at least at our office?
Sure. Everybody's totally different across the board, so it just depends on your lifestyle and work history, injury history, and all of that. So some people come in, they want to try something new, and they might feel good, but just see what we can offer. And somebody like that doesn't have a big care plan. So we kind of just gauge their body and check their mobility mainly at that point, and then give them recommendations on what they can do stretch wise, and then when a good time frame is for checkups. Somebody that's in a ton of pain, we want to see a little more often to get them out of the pain first, and then try to change their body so that their body can function better moving forward. So we compare a lot of chiropractic to dentistry as well. So a lot of dentists, we don't wait till we have cavities. Some of us do. We try not to wait till we have cavities and have other issues and then go to the dentist. We go to the dentist every 4 to 6 months to get a cleaning, to be proactive and preventive with it. And it does well. Dentists have done great at educating on teeth and oral health. So that's kind of where we're at with chiropractic, is trying to teach people about specifically your spine, but your body in general, and why it's important to keep it moving. Because your joints can last a lot longer than what we're seeing right now. So we want to help people get there.
And then, okay, I feel like the elephant in the room with chiropractic care is I went to a chiropractor and I got hurt, or it made it worse. Can you speak to that a little bit? I mean, like you said, we can't speak to every doctor. There's bad doctors in every field, and there's irresponsible ones. But can you speak to the idea that it might feel worse before it gets better, in that sort of concept?
Yep. I would say most people that come in with pain usually feel worse for the first couple weeks before they start feeling amazing. And it's just the way our bodies work. So there's a lot of inflammation when there's pain there. And when we're trying to get things moving and stretched out and work through that inflammation's moving around, and you'll feel that, unfortunately. So it's not all the time. A lot of people will feel great after their first couple of adjustments. That one example, that testimony that we have is a good example of that. But most people do feel, sore. Just they feel it might be just a temporary feel good, and then they're sore after that. But usually that's a short-term duration, and then they just feel better than they have in years after that. So it's common, and it's just the way our bodies work. So a lot of people have that mindset. We just want that quick fix and feel good. And that would be awesome, but the reality of that is I don't think that's how our bodies work.
Well, it reminds me of working out. I feel my muscles feel worse before they feel stronger. And like you said, that's how our body works. And then I'm sure a lot of you might at home say, I had a spinal fusion. Can you help with that? I have stenosis in here. Can I help with that? That's the beauty, where we can't speak to every condition, but that's where you come in. You have 45 minutes with the doctor to talk about your, medications, your history, and that sort of stuff. And then they can say, look at x-rays, look at possibly MRIs if you have that, and say, yeah, we think that we could help with this situation. Or we do, like you said, you sometimes refer out. So that's what you'd say if somebody said, can you help with this? You'd say, come in and let's consult about it, right?
Yeah, and a lot of people think that because they've had a spinal fusion or some sort of surgery, they can't get adjusted. We've adjusted people just with some of the craziest things. A lot of kids have, that I've seen, and this is kind of not only in the U.S. but a lot of different countries, but they'll have drainage tube from their, like kind of a shunt that goes to their lymph system, because they get encephalopathy, which is swelling of the brain. And you see it here in town quite a bit too, but you know, if I wasn't trained on it, I would not want to adjust that. Just feeling that running down, I wouldn't want to mess with anything in there. But after seeing so many cases of it and understanding how it works, you know, there's the risk of any adjustment is so few. You know, I think our perception and in any stories we've heard over time gives us that scare factor of the adjustment and what can happen. But the risk is so low of anything happening that usually it's no worry. And if somebody has a surgery or has a fusion, we know when and where to adjust it and when's proper to.
And on that point, chiropractors have some of the lowest malpractice insurance, which I like to point out because that means, you know, there aren't those cases of reporting of incidences. So that's a good thing. Proud of you guys for. So, you know, so I think if you have any questions, you can always, we can have our information, call us, set up a time to talk, email, you know, feel free to reach out and ask questions, but I'll just wrap up with some things and you can go along your way. Thank you, Dr. Buss, for answering some questions. So just wanting to point out, this isn't just for you, it's for the entire family, like we said. So actually, Dr. Buss adjusted my baby 2 days after he was born. So we love seeing kiddos as young as, you know, newborns to anywhere along the age. We have some stories about it is not too late for you. And so feel free to click and watch this video. It talks about some different testimonies that we see from our patients. And then a few logistics. So one, we have an office in Oconto, but our office in Appleton is off of Ballard or off of Richmond and Northland, kind of by that Quick Trip, Starbucks, Fazoli's area. And so we just built a brand new, beautiful office. We love it. We do offer cash prices, but we also take most insurances, Medicare, the Medicaid. And so the best thing you can do is to call and ask. And so we can check that out, or call your insurance and ask them what they cover for chiropractic care. But we do offer a new patient visit for a cash price of $20. That $20 actually gets donated to a nonprofit. So for $20, you can meet with one of the docs, get x-rays if you need to, have that consult and exam, not the chiropractic adjustment, but the consult and exam. And that gets donated. This year, it's been donated to Heart, which is an organization in Africa that helps out orphans and widows and really the least of these. And we've also donated, we just got done with donating a week to a special week to the Hope Clinic right here in Menasha that helps serve those who can't afford medical treatment. So our doctors are awesome, they're generous, and we love giving back to the community. So you can get checked out by the doctors and get a second opinion, and the worst case scenario is $20 goes to a good cause. So feel free to call us and schedule an appointment. Like I said, we like to set aside 45 minutes for that first appointment, but we'll give you a tour, make sure that you feel comfortable, and get all your questions answered. So, like I said, any questions, feel free to reach out. We'll have our contact information. Check out the video to hear a little bit more from patients who've come to our office, and we look forward to seeing you. Thank you guys so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. Have a great day.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Stark with the Carolyn Stark Real Estate Team. I want to thank Anna and Dr. Buss from Chiropractic Advantage for being here with us today and giving us a great presentation. Thanks to all of you for joining us.